Okay, so we're going to do lesson 4, and in lesson 4 we're going to create an ActionScript class in Flash. So we'll use the tools that are in CS5, CS6, or the cloud versions. I'm using Aminate for this class right here. To place code in this file that can be used by other Flash projects. So when you create a movie clip in Flash, you are actually creating an instance of the movie clip. When you work with a text field, you are using an instance of the text field class. With video, you use the video classes, so on. So the functions that are contained in an ActionScript class file referred to as methods of that class, and the variables that are in a class file referred to as the properties of the class. So methods are functions that are part of a class definition. Once an instance of the class is created, a method is bound to that instance. A method cannot be used apart from the instance to which it is attached. Methods are defined as using the function keyword. So we're going to make a new file. You just make File, New, and you have to select ActionScript 3.0 class. And here is where you're going to place in the class name. For this project, we're going to place in the text ellipse. .as, and then you're going to hit OK. I already have this done right here, and you can see the name of the class created must match the name of the file. Thus, in this case, the class is named ellipse, and you save the file as ellipse.ass. Thus, this structure name is what allows class files to be referenced by other files. All ActionScript classes begin with the keyword package, as you can see here. You can think the package is describing the path of your ActionScript file. The package reference still needs to be there. The right brace at the end of the code closes the package tag. All the codes for the package for the Eclipse class will go in between the package brackets. All the code for this class will go between the line and the second from the last right brace. So you need to just write what I have here. When one class extends another, the new class has all the capabilities of the original parent class in addition to whatever new capabilities are added in the new class. So the ellipse class will be drawn as a simple ellipse. Ellipse class is a descendant or child of the movie clip class. This allows the instance of the Eclipse class to do all the things that can be done with movie clips, such as their positions, scales, and rotation. So to make the movie clip class available to your new Eclipse class, you need to write code that imports the movie clip class into your file. So we're going to go ahead and write this right here. So now we're going to we're going to extend this class into a movie clip class. So the final bit of the class is created when you create the new file is the function name Eclipse. So we have to write this right here where it says public function Eclipse, and that is the final code that you're going to be writing. Although a class file often contains many functions, such as each class must have one function and that has the same name as the class file. This is called the constructor function because it is mandatory. It is created automatically in Flash when you create a new class file. So some new terms that we've come across so far is parameters, methods, functions, and constructors. So parameters are the elements on which a function executes its code. Each component has parameters that you can use to change its appearance and behavior. A parameter is a property of the component class and appears in a property inspector in the components inspector. Some parameters you must set with ActionScript. When you set a parameter with ActionScript, it will override any values set during authoring. And another term that we've come across is function statements are more concise and easier to read. When a function is created in an ActionScript class, it can be given any number of parameters. Function statements create a strong bond between the identifier and the code within the method body. So another term that we come across is constructors. They are functions that share the same name as the class in which they are defined. Any code that you include in a constructor method is executed whenever an instance of the class is created with the new keyword. So let's talk a little bit about access modifiers. The term public is what is known as an access modifier. By setting the class to public, you are indicating that this class can be accessed from any other file. There are three other access modifiers. So there's private. Methods and properties that are labeled private are available only from within the class file. And then there's protected. Methods and properties that are labeled protected are available only from within the class file and its descendants. And then we have internal. Methods and properties that are labeled internal are available from within the class file and to all the other files within the same package. So I'm going to go on to this last one here. And you can see now we're starting to put in some information. Because we notice the three parameters you've added between the parentheses of the ellipse function button. These will be used to set the width, height, and color of a new ellipse that will be created with the ellipse function is called. So the parameters for width, height are given default values of 40, and the color parameter is given a default value of red. The three lines of code inside the bracket of the ellipse function are used to create an ellipse. These lines are methods that are part of the extensive and powerful ActionScript toolset for creating and manipulating vector graphics. In the ellipse function, the first of these three lines indicate that the vector graphics are about to be created will have a specific fill color. So we see this right here when we see graphics begin fill, which is this first line here. So we have the numbers up here for the height and the width, and then we have the beginning color graphic fill. The color parameter determines the color of the ellipse. Remember that this parameter was set to default of red, and you created the function, but can be override when called. So the second line of code draws an ellipse using a built-in function called draw ellipse. So this is the second one here. You have to write these exactly how it's written here. This function or method has four parameters. The first two parameters set the position of the ellipse, and you have the 0, which is horizontal, and another 0, which is vertical in the upper left hand corner, and then the next two define the width and the height parameters of the ellipse function to set the width and heights of the ellipse. The third line inside the ellipse function ends the fill and completes the drawing, and this one is this right here where it says graphic and fill. So we're going to just save this part, and then we can see how we can use this to create our next little section here where we're going to actually be able to make some sort of artwork. So go ahead and save this. Okay, so now let's test our new class and see how it works. So let's go ahead and open up the folder here. Let's go File, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the start where it says lesson 4 start. Double click that, and you'll see that you already have a little pad here that you can use for creating your animation when we get started in doing this. So what I want you to do, since I've already done this, but I'm going to do this to show you, I want you to go File, Save As. Make sure it goes into that same folder and switch it from Start and just call it Working. Okay, so just change this to Working. and then hit save. Since I've already done this, I'm not going to do this. It's going to go into the folder. You notice you already have your file in here that you save your ellipse.as file, okay? Your instance file, instance class file. So you're going to go ahead and save that. And I'm just going to cancel this. Now I've already have this here. So what you need to do now is we need to create a var for Eclipse. So remember, var is keyword var. It tells ActionScript that you are creating a new variable. Now this was way back in the first, I believe it was the first lesson. So the name of the variable is ellipse. So go ahead and write this exactly how I have it within the first frame here. So you're going to go and unlock these in your timeline. You need to unlock these layers. So make sure they're unlocked. Make sure you have the very first keyframe selected in your actions layer, and then go ahead and write var ellipse. Remember, this is what we want to have our file search out for. Ellipse equals new. That's important to put that in, this word new. And then write ellipse add child ellipse. So once you do that, then we can test our file and see what we have here. It's not going to be very much, but if you don't get this, then you know you did something wrong. So just go ahead and file and save. You can just hit save or save as, because I've already done this. I'm not going to do this again, but you just hit file and save. Save your work first before you can test it. And then we're going to go to control tests. I'm using Emanate for this exercise, so you can see you can use Emanate for all these projects. Alright, so all you're going to see is just big red ball right in the corner here. This will let you know that you did this file correctly. If you didn't do this file correctly, then you will not be able to see this red ball. Okay, so a single red dot doesn't do too much for us. Let's make this a little more functioning file. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually cut this. So you're going to just copy this and just go ahead and choose where it says cut. So this is kind of in Flash, this is kind of like a property where you cut and then you paste. So let's just go ahead and do that. Just select cut. And I've already been working on this because I don't want to take too long in creating these files. And so we're going to paste this, but first you have to write import flash events.mouse event. Okay. So this event takes place whenever the mouse user moves the mouse. This movement will call a function called mouse shapes. So this is the next one we're going to do, is we're going to create an advent listener with mouse event, mouse move, mouse make shapes. So on a new line, you're going to create make shape function. So the function of the make shapes is right here. You're going to write function make shape mouse event void. And so right here, right after you finish writing, make sure you write everything exactly as I have it here. Then you're going to just select right here, and you're going to put in paste. And once you put in paste, you're going to put in the code that you had done previously, which is var ellipse equals new, add child. And then underneath that, now we want to tell them something that we want to do. We don't want to just go straight across. If you don't put in you know, X and Y, then you're not going to have very much movement on your stage. So as with the parent movie clip class, Eclipse class instance has an X and Y property with a default location of 0. So to give each new Eclipse a unique location, you will set new Eclipse to be placed at the current mouse location using mouse X and mouse Y property. So once you have your code all done, just file and save, and let's just take a look. Just go up ahead and go file and save. I've already done that. And let's just go ahead and take a look and see what this looks like. We're going to go control, test, and Emanate. So now I can make a little line all over my file. Okay, so this doesn't do too much for me either, so I want to make this a little smaller. I want to make my line smaller, and I also want to change my color. So I want to change my color to green, so I put in this parameter. This tells Flash the size of the line that you want to create, and also tells the color. So you can change this color to any color that you want. but for this example I'm just going to use green. So I'm going to check this and see how it looks. You got to file and save before you check this out. Okay, so now I'm making these little nifty green lines, and you notice that it's not quite as heavy as it was previously. Okay, so now we're going to add some more code that allows the listener to move the mouse and add it when the mouse user clicks on stage and remove when the mouse is released. So below where it says import flash events, you're going to have you have add event listener mouse event down, so it's going to start drawing when the user's mouse goes down, and add event listener mouse up, it's going to stop drawing when the user releases. So now we have to add some function to this. So below these add event listeners, we have to put function start drawing mouse void, and then function start drawing mouse void, and we're going to go ahead and copy this. So we're going to cut this, so you're going to right click and you're going to cut. Okay, so now I'm going to alter my code so that the listener for the mouse movement is added when the user clicks on stage and removed when the mouse is released. So we're going to go ahead and write this code up here. So we're going to put in an add event listener. So we have the add event listener mouse down, add event listener mouse up, and we're going to put in function. So you go ahead and write this. We're going to write function start drawing mouse event void, and then we're going to paste where we had cut before, stage event listener mouse event mouse move, and then we're going to do the same thing again. You can actually copy and paste this whole thing if you like. Just go ahead and do that and then paste it here, and the only thing you're going to change is you're going to change your stop right here where it says stop drawing. Just change that, and then where it says add, you're going to change this to remove. So I do a lot of copying and pasting in Flash to make sure that everything is correct. You want to go through and check your code very carefully. You can go through the book and check it too to make sure you didn't make any errors, because even one little dot will throw it off. So you have to go through and check every single thing. You know, coding is not easy no matter what program you do. So just go through and check and make sure that all this is correct. Make sure you have your dots where they're supposed to be, your parentheses, everything looks exactly correct. So let's go ahead and check and see how this looks. I'm going to file and save again. Alright, make sure you file save, and I'm going to test it and animate. Okay, so now I can lift my mouse up, I can move it around, mouse up, mouse down. So again, if it's not working for you, just check very carefully your coding, because it just takes one little error to make this whole thing not work. So you have to be very careful when you're writing this. And same as you start working on your projects too this week, you have to really watch your code. Okay, so we're getting ready to finish up this section. This is the last part. Now we're going to add the randomizing colors for the eclipse, so that when the user opens up this file and he clicks on with his mouse and he lifts up, each time that he lifts up it will change a different color. So to generate a random number in ActionScript 3, you will use the random method of the math class. So the sync is going to be this right here where it says random math random class right here. So this code will return a random number between 0 and 1, usually with multiple decimal places. To control the range that math random generates, you perform some math on the resultant random number. For example, if you want to generate a random number between 0 and 5, you multiply the math random result by 50, so math random would be 50. If you want to generate a random number from among the full range of possible hexadecimal colors, you write math random, and then you place the colors just like we have here. So you have 0x FFFF. So this is telling Aminate or Flash that you want to choose a whole group of different colors that is among the scale. So now you use this technique to add random colors to the ellipse. So add a variable to your file to store a numeric color value. At the top of the action panel above the existing code, add a new line to create a new variable with this code. So it's going to be var color number. So at the very top you're going to place this. Make sure that you write everything correctly so that you do not so that it works correctly, because it is very case sensitive. Locate the start drawing function and add the code that now reads function start drawing void advent listener mouse move make shapes, and then you're going to add the math random and then the color. So that's going to be this section right here. So you're going to move it down underneath mouse down and mouse up, and you'll place this in here where it says color equals math random, and then you have all your different colors selected here. Now each time the user will click, a random color will be chosen. So to assign the color to ellipse, you will use the new color variable as the parameter that is passed to the ellipse constructor function. So now we're going to locate the make shape function and change that line to read var. So we go to the make shape right here. So you're going to do right here the make shape function, so equals new. So you're going to have 1010 0xx. So you make sure that you change this so that it reflects what you have in your file. So we're going to go ahead and test this and see what it looks like. So your complete file should look like this. Everything should be written correctly. Go ahead and test it and see. If it doesn't work, then you've missed something in your file. Something was not written correctly. I sometimes have to rewrite it a couple of times and really check it very carefully, because it doesn't take much for it to not work. So let's just go to Control Test and Aminate. So every time that I lift my mouse up, it randomly selects a color. So if this is not working for you, then just go through and recheck your code to make sure that it is. So this is the end of this section. If you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to email me, and next week we will do lesson 5.